Hello, it's A Nikki Beyond the Scene and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another beat with me. And if you are not, welcome back. So I know I look a little different on camera. I'm actually cleaning up my room. So I'm like, I'm not going to be all cute or whatever because I have to do a little deep clean in the room and I don't got time to be wearing makeup, whatever. So all you guys are getting is a little gloss. So let's get right into what we need to talk about today. So Dank Demos. Now I've been seeing the story circulate for the past like week and some change. And I'm just like, we're going to talk about something because there are some things that stood out to me that I'm just like, hold up. We're not going to go there. So Dank Demos, she's like a rapper and she's a plus size rapper. And Dank Demos, from what I read, is that she's 36 years old. Now, I thought she was younger than that because she does look a little young. But then also I'm thinking because of her actions, I'm like, you have to be young to make this type of action, you know, to do this. You know, you have to be young to kind of be ignorant. Because ain't no way you're 4 years away from 40 and you're acting like that. She started going viral because she was suing Lyft for pretty much not having accommodations for her size. Because when she called the Lyft, the man car, he had like some small car. I forgot what it was, but it was a little box. It was not holding her weight. And she looks like she weighs about a good like 3 something. She definitely looks about 3 something. So when the car pulled up, he was basically saying like, I can't drive you because your weight is not gonna sustain in my car. Like my car is not gonna take that. And basically she was kind of going back and forth with him because she felt that it was discrimination towards her because she was like, oh, I never had to get a different car just to be driven. Every time I get a car, I'm always fine. Like it's never an issue. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, maybe those times that when you did order a Lyft, you probably got lucky with the XLs. Probably. And I don't think she was understanding the magnitude of that. It's like, he cannot accommodate you. Even if he drives slow, doesn't take any, you know, hills or nothing like that, like your weight is too much. And plus he's a driver, like this is his car. He needs to make his bread. By you coming up here trying to like make a demand and be like, hey, you need to drive me. No, mama, that's just not gonna happen. Your weight cannot sustain in that car. It ain't gonna happen. So after that, she decided to sue Lyft because she felt discriminated against, this and that, blah, 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 and think that, you know, people should have accommodations and this and that, blah, 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 which is like, okay, but it's like in this situation, it doesn't really make any sense because your weight is your responsibility. And everywhere you go, it's not always going to be an accommodation. And that goes across the board for everybody, whether you big, small, you have a disability, not whatever. You're not going to be accommodated all of the time. And then unfortunately, people of her size, you guys aren't really the majority. So companies aren't really going to think about accommodating you guys to what you will want to. They might accommodate for some things, but they're not going to accommodate for everything. You guys are not the majority. And then a lot of times, most of you guys are, you know, some people who are of that size usually have a lot of health problems and, you know, they can't be outside, they can't walk, they might need extra assistance. There's a lot more complications to the point that they can't really live a regular lifestyle, you know, because of that. And again, this is not to shame somebody who is overweight. It's not to say that somebody who is overweight is unhealthy all the time, but it does come with a lot of health complications when you are of that size. So then she ends up going on a Breakfast Club as well recently and basically was talking about that. And she couldn't even fit in a little chair. She needed the big old chair that was in the back because she was like, oh, do you guys have a different chair? And they end up pulling some chair from the back, which it was to my surprise that they even had a chair back there. Like it was so tucked in the back that I'm just like, you really brought something from the dark ages up in here because where was that chair at? Like I was more surprised that they even found something to accommodate her. You know, they switched out the chair and then she's like, oh, see, what she said? She said something about like, that's how you do it, you know, that's how you accommodate or whatever the case may be. But then I'm just like, you could have just ordered a bigger car then. If you worry so much about accommodation, like you have to take responsibility. Like, you think the driver should have called him? You get what I'm saying? But she made that comment and I'm just like, you cannot be that size and be just so like delusional. Regardless of what's going on in your life, you know, I do think being that size, it does affect mental health and everything in between. You got to be responsible. You got to have some sort of, I guess, social responsibility for yourself. And being that size is just not healthy. There was another video that I seen her in, and she fell on stage because she was bending down, and then she bent back, and then she fell back because she couldn't hold her weight. She couldn't hold her weight. So she fell backwards on stage. And I'm just like, see, that's what happens when you're that big. You can't move like how you want to move. You can't do this like how you want to do this. And I think when she was on that reality TV show for like the rappers, whatever, I don't even know what it was, but it had something to do with rap. And I think she went home because they talked about her weight. They said, you know, it's not healthy. But she wasn't hearing it. She was like, this is me. It's who I am. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be big. I'm going to be fat. Cause that's what she is fat, and she tried to, and we're gonna get to the part where she tried to compare it to the LGBTQ, well, you know, community, whatever. We're gonna get to that point. And then when she was pretty much talking about her situation and basically saying like, you know, we shouldn't say the F word, basically fat, and you know, instead she used language like plus size or just big. You want people to use words to just kind of make you feel better. I'm like, but you are fat. Now it's on how you use it in the context. Like I want to call that fat bitch. Like I would never say that about somebody. And then she tried to compare it to the LGBTQ community and basically saying like, you know, how basically they don't be, you know, don't say the F word. Same thing with that, don't say the F word. Like she was trying to compare the struggles, and it's like, if we're gonna compare, I would say one is that's a certain lifestyle. People is different. Okay, I'm not gonna speak too much. I'm not a part of that community, but I would say their struggle is a little different compared to your struggle. If anything, where it can intersect is like, okay, you might feel invisible. People might not respect you because of your lifestyle. You just be treated invisible in society for the most part. Even though I feel like as of now, society has been starting to become a little more accepting of people of that community than it was years ago. Years ago, it was just like, oh, it's like almost if people found out if you were that, it was kind of like, oh my gosh. But now these days, if people come out, it's kind of just, all right, cool. And a lot of times you can kind of just tell. So I think people are a little more tolerable, I would say, from people from that community. You know, and even with people who are plus size, I think we've grown to be more accepting of people who are plus size, showing a little more visibility. Even in the advertisements that I've seen these days, I've been seeing a lot more plus size people promoted in ads that I would have seen them years ago, because years ago they would have had some skinny chick or some skinny dude that's on the screen in a billboard. But now we're seeing more different types of body types, which is great because those different types of body types need to be celebrated, because we all come in different shapes and sizes. And to me, that's body positivity. But what she's talking about ain't body positivity at all. It's far from that. And when she tried to compare it to that community, it was like, now you're just making a far leap that you need to bring back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to bring that back because it has nothing to do with that. And like, where you at in your life and how you deal with your weight is your own responsibility at this point. You can't just go up to any place expecting these establishments or these companies to just accommodate you because you're big. You get what I'm saying? Like, no, like some places just aren't going to accommodate you, and it's fine. We all wish we lived in a world where everything could just be accommodated for everyone. Everyone can have something for themselves. Everyone could just go in here and ask for this and there's no problems. We all wish that. But that's not the society that we live in. And she's young, like 36 is really not that old. So I'm like, you're really, in my head, I think you're young. And I think you have a chance to kind of change certain things about your life so you could feel better, so you could look better. You know what I'm saying? Feel better internally. It'll show out externally. And you don't have to be on stage and your knees collapsing while you're performing. Like, all that matters. And yes, no one should be disrespected for the weight. I do agree with that. No one shouldn't, and no one should be treated invisible because of that. Because again, we do understand that sometimes with people who are of that size, it could be medical reasons, mental problem, all that stuff. And sometimes it's hard for people to lose weight. You know, it's hard. Especially when you get to a certain point, you know, it is for some people it is ED. So it's just like, it's a lot of complications that goes with that. So I understand that aspect. And maybe if she goes to the doctor regularly and just gets checked up, they could probably tell her like, hey, you probably have this that causes that, or blah, 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 blah. Like I said, at the end of the day, just take care of yourself. And for her, she shouldn't have no entitlement. You know what I'm saying? You should not be walking with entitlement. And what she was trying to do to that man, I think the man lost his job and this and that because the situation became so big. I'm like, you had somebody lose their job because you fat. Like, the only thing that he should have done different was to cancel the ride and keep driving. Do not explain to anybody. Do not explain. Just cancel the ride and keep going. But the thing is, he stopped and tried to explain to her of her side, which he probably thought he was helping. Like, I'm sure in the back of his mind, he was like, let me try to bring some reality to her because my car ain't taking it. And I get it. But what he should have done differently was to cancel the ride and keep driving, because a person like her isn't going to understand. She's ignorant. That's ignorance in her head. I need to fit in this car. I could fit in this car. And it's like, no. Yeah, you could get into the car, but then now the car is going down the road, and you're not paying for the damages that's going to happen to this car. And if I was her, I'm like, if you care so much about accommodations and this and that, why don't you just have your own car? Why don't you just get a big old truck that you could fit in and you could drive yourself to places you need to be? That would be the best accommodation to yourself. How about you do that? You know, because if you really care so much about accommodation, you should just order a bigger car. You should have been more aware of your size, which it seems like she doesn't really seem too aware of her size. You would have just ordered a bigger car. The fact that all these driving apps have different options for passengers, you could have ordered a larger size. That's the responsibility that you should hold. You should have ordered a larger size because you are a larger person. People of your size cannot go on roller coasters because you can't fit, and it's not safe trying to fit somebody like you in a roller coaster. So there are signs and rules and regulations for people who are of that size. Weight matters. I'm sure a person like that on her size probably would need to be on the elevator by herself, because the elevator can only hold a certain amount of weight. But it's like, if she really cares about feeling respected, I just think her attitude just needs to change about it in terms of the situation. I just think her attitude doesn't sound like the greatest. It just seems like I'm just fat, even though she doesn't want to call herself fat, but she is fat. But she basically want to say, I'm fat and you guys got to deal with my fatness, and I don't really care. I don't really hold no responsibility. It's your responsibility to accommodate me, and I hold no responsibility to that. That's what it comes off to me as. And it's like, you ain't gonna get far in life acting like that. You moving a little ignorant with your weight. Like, you're not a toothpick, okay? You're not weighing 235 and you 6 feet and your weight is just distributed everywhere. Like, no, your stomach is literally over your kneecap. I'm gonna leave it at that, because I feel like I'm gonna start saying something crazy. But you don't look great. You don't look great. She's pretty, I would say that, but she doesn't look great. And it is what it is. And I don't want this video to come off as no body shake. I don't want nobody to be like, oh my gosh, like, you got. No, it's just the reality. You know, and being 36, and that's what I read when I looked her up, being 36, I wouldn't be playing with life. Especially these days where things are a little harder to get for healthcare and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I would not be playing with that. People be playing with their life like healthcare is free. That's all I have to say in regards to that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will be back again with another one.